Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a brutal May for console sales. So, what the hell? Let's raise some prices. It's going to be a good one because we have John Martin on the show. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing super well, Grubb. Happy Friday. Fishing week, unfortunately, coming to an end, but fishing week is also eternal.
That's what we've discovered, yes.
You should, at some point, someone should like Voltron put on the fishing week hat and the golf shirt and everything. I would love to
you
see
bring it all together. Have week?
Yeah.
We could have week. Yeah. Man, all right. That's week merch coming to the store soon, everybody, here on Giant Bomb. Yeah, John, how you been?
I've been good. Pretty busy. I feel like the end of the school year is always super busy for me because I work with a lot of teachers all the time. But yeah, no, it's been good. Been busy playing some games, playing a lot of Magic the Gathering, and then just, working on music and other fun stuff, trying to make time for people and having a fun time.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Same. Yeah. It turns out fishing week was kind of brutal. It was like, oh man, I got a lot of stuff to take care of here. And then when things go wrong, it's like, oh, I still got to do the other thing, but now I got to spend 5 hours trying to get that fishing VR thing to work with Final Fantasy and the PS4 and the PSVR. But I feel pretty good about it. Was very happy to play through Umagari, which I did finish this morning. Got the full playthrough up on Giant Bomb now, everybody. If you want to check that out. It was weird and fun and cool, and we made some tough choices there at the end, but I think we made the right ones. So yeah, go check that out. But yeah, it's Friday. We're gonna get to the weekend, and then next week's a short week. We got the 4th of July coming up, so I'm gonna take some time off, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a little bit overdue. So, you know what? I say we get on with this show, John, and explain what we do here. We're Giant Bomb. If you go to giantbomb.com/join, you could become a premium member and support all this nonsense. And by this nonsense, I mean independent games media. We want to keep doing this stuff, and you can't rely on corporations for that anymore. What you can rely on is each other. So show up for us, and we'll show up for you and keep doing this cool stuff here on Giant Bomb. If you become a premium member by going to giantbomb.com/join, you're going to get ad-free versions of all of our shows. You're going to get premium exclusives, of which there are many, and we're always working on new ones. Some cool stuff in the works. But go watch that if you haven't yet. The Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? This is the Run. That was a good time. Pretty proud of that and a lot more over on the site. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of the bona fide expert who will make me look smart. And if you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with that Circana report from May 2026. Matt Piscatella posted all of the information there on Blue Sky. 007 First Light and Nintendo Switch 2 drive 3% U.S. video game spending growth in May is his headline. Total video game sales were up to $4.182 billion in May. That's a lot of money, but that is up 3% from the previous May. And that is because Switch 2 launched in June of last year, right? So we have the good comparison there. And then stuff like 007 First Light seems like it did very, very well. Let's read here from Matt. U.S. video games spending reached $4.2 billion in May 2026, an increase of 3%. Year-to-date spending finished May 4% higher than 2025 at a total of $23 billion. And again, this is just for the United States. The top 10 is 007 First Light at number 1. There are a lot of new games on this chart. Forza Horizon 6 was number 2. Number 3 is Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Number 4 is Subnautica 2. Then number 5, after being number 1 the previous month, and this is now projected sales, so they're able to do this, Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Then number 6 is MLB The Show 26, followed by Crimson Desert, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book at number 8, which is another new game on this chart. Number 9 is Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and number 10 is Mario Kart World. Again, they've recently begun projecting sales on this list. Previously, it would just be hard data all they had, But Circana has a lot of data. They would be one of the ones who are better at projecting sales. And now we have maybe a slightly more accurate chart. Year to date, interestingly, 007 already number 4. Number 4 best-selling game of the year, behind only Resident Evil Requiem, Crimson Desert at number 2, and number 3 being MLB The Show 26. And then Forza Horizon 6 is already number 5 best-selling game, and Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is already number 7, just behind the previously mentioned games, and then Pokemon Pocopia at 6. Man, Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, number 8 best-selling game of the year so far. So pretty good for that. Let's round out that list with WWE 2K26 and then Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Both those games were from last year, right? So, yeah. Yeah, okay, so John, that's the high-level stuff. We'll get into the hardware here in a second, but 007 First Light, that's pretty impressive for that game. I was expecting big things. It did very well.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it kind of breached out of just like, I feel like a lot of core gamers knew that the Hitman games were super quality, but when I brought up games that people should pick up for like a PS4, a PS5, whatever console people are, or PC that people are playing on, it's always been a recommendation because it is such a fun sandbox. But this is definitely like them breaking out even more so. Like Hitman's super successful, but like 007 is an IP that is generational and reaching out. And yeah, I can't feel anything but happy for IO. I feel like they absolutely deserve this. Seems like it's going to, snowball into even greater games. So it's just an overall success story that you really got to respect. Yeah. At the same time, though, Tomodachi Life, that's kind of crazy because that's like obviously that on a way smaller scale where I feel like not many people played the 3DS version, and pretty much 50% of my friends on like Instagram or whatever, they're just sharing weird videos happening in Tomodachi Life, people who did not own Switches or anything. And that's pretty crazy.
Tomodachi Life is it did all right worldwide on the 3DS, but I think it was something like, I want to say like 5 million copies sold. I knew the number not too long ago. This is clearly just going to do way better than that. This is kind of a massive global hit now. Back to 007 just real quick. Matt does point out, according to his tracking, so this once again would be for the United States, but this is the best debut for a 007 James Bond game ever, which, I think that would compare it to GoldenEye, which GoldenEye was a bit of a slow burn. It like picked up pace through word of mouth. And I just remember reading magazines back then, and they would have the NPD sales chart at the time, which was previously what Circana was known as. And you would see it like GoldenEye number 1 for months at a time, just month after month after month. It was GoldenEye at the top of the chart. It kind of sold itself over time. And that was its multiplayer. This game is going to probably do very well at launch and then peter out over time. And then, if they can keep it fresh, which this studio really knows how to do, I'm sure they can get ongoing sales. But you said it. This is all about setting themselves up for the next game and the game after that, which, again, they should have the rights to do. I know Amazon was kind of weird about that, but, the way it seemed to be working out is this team should already have the rights to do the next 2 James Bond games. And that's what everyone except for apparently Amazon wants to see. And why do I bring up Amazon? Amazon owns MGM, which is sort of the rights manager of James Bond. I'm afraid to say owner because I think there's still some estate involved. But yeah, Amazon weird about that, but they shouldn't be. Everyone involved should be making a lot of money because this game is doing very well. John, let's switch over to hardware real quick. Let's just read here. Yeah, exactly.
More happiness.
May 2026 hardware spending grew 38% versus a year ago to $249 million. Kane Hyland says the estate isn't involved anymore. James Bond. Okay, that's a recent development, right? Okay, thank you. Nintendo Switch 2 offset a 43% drop in PlayStation 5 spending and a 58% dip in unit sales for the PlayStation 5. So it's selling less than half of what it did last year, the PlayStation 5, driven by recent price increases. The price increases came and they hit the PlayStation 5 very hard. The Xbox Series hardware spending grew 7% versus a year ago, but units fell by 12%. So making slightly more money than they did last year, selling 12% fewer Xboxes. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, we'll keep going here. Nintendo Switch 2 was again the best-selling hardware platform in both unit and dollar sales for May and 2026 year to date, with PlayStation 5 placing second across both measures and time periods. Nintendo Switch 2 finished its first 12 months in the market with a 5.9 million unit US installed base, so right there around 6 million, not too bad. It is the second fastest selling video game hardware in US tracked history, behind only the Game Boy Advance, which did 6.5 million. And you get, God, back then, Pokemon fever was crazy, and the new Game Boy Advance being affordable and the best and the only way to play some new Pokemon games, I think it sold very fast. That's my memory. Maybe there were some other games selling that thing at first. This Castlevania Circle of the Moon, everyone had to play that.
Yeah.
But we'll keep going here. PlayStation hardware unit sales fell to their lowest May total since May 2000. So the worst May for a PlayStation system since May of 2000, a quarter of a century, John. It gets worse though, although I guess this is a similar time frame to the PlayStation. Well, Xbox hardware unit sales were their lowest ever recorded for a May month.
Wow.
Fewest Xboxes sold ever for a May month, and then the fewest PlayStation consoles sold for a May since the beginning of this century. That is bad, but we could see why this is happening. The price increases, and we'll talk about how that, like, the average sales price for these consoles has gone up. But yeah, man, these things aren't selling, and here we are. We're seeing that being just the fact of the matter, and the fact that like Xbox was down 12%, and that now it's at its lowest ever. That's on top of like previous years and previous Mays where it was down 30% multiple years in a row. So this has been a long time coming. And now it's hit maybe not even rock bottom, because we have that other story coming up here in a second. What do you think, John?
Yeah, it's not looking good, right? Obviously, we did see that jump. I mean, it has to be at April this point where we knew prices were going to be going up for a bunch of different consoles. And so, that created this big balloon of like, oh, things are looking good. And obviously, spending growing on hardware is only so good as the unit sales are also kind of like in an upwards facing trend. Obviously the increase is basically just due to every unit costs more money now, which isn't great. And it's obviously not looking good into the future, especially as costs keep going up. And I mean, PlayStation is kind of the most surprising out of the two. Xbox has kind of dug themselves into a weird hole where they're undervaluing their audience and just the reason to own their hardware, whereas PlayStation is kind of also having a hard time like pivoting the message to be like, no, these are the only places you can play PlayStation games. This is still early days with both of their strategic pivots, but
correct,
at the same time, there's only so much that you can kind of do in the impending face of the Ramageddon.
Yeah. They can, I mean, like, it seems like all that posturing with the strategic pivots, as you pointed out, is about setting themselves up for the next consoles whenever those happen. Honestly, at this point, if those happen anytime soon, like, they just
Right.
really, that's a huge question mark. But yeah, for now, it is just going to be that the PlayStation and Xbox consoles are going to sell less because they are at the end of their generation. Excuse me. It's been more than 5 years, 6 years now since they launched. So they should be on a natural decline. And then these price increases have just added huge weights to that and dragged it down even faster. We do have data about the average price paid for a new unit of video game hardware. That reached $502 in May, up 14% compared to a year ago, which was $440. May 2026 PlayStation 5 average pricing increased by 33% versus a year ago to $672, with Xbox Series up 22% to $524. And you can see like them being like, well, we can push that even higher. And again, we'll talk about that here in a second. Matt points out that, okay, yeah, so we're seeing like all these mixed numbers, and sure, the high level number was we saw some growth. What was it, 3%? And hardware was up 38% because of the Switch 2 comparison. That's going to end next month because next month there will be a apples to apples comparison with the Switch 2 launching in June of last year. And then the sales in June of this year are just not going to be anywhere close to that. So they're going to be down. And then the price increases have hit on top of that for everything. So you're going to be selling fewer units and just kind of across the board. Matt pointed out there was another thing there, I believe. Actually, I didn't write that down. But there was something where he was just like, yeah, the comparison's going to be really rough. And it's going to kind of spook these companies even more. Let's get to the Xbox price increase because it kind of feels like we have to talk about that in conjunction with all of this.
Mhm.
Microsoft announces significant price rises for Xbox Series X and S. The 2 terabyte model has been discontinued. This comes from Wesley Yinpool at IGN. And I picked this story because they're the ones that kind of that I saw really when I was looking really quickly that did the math, because in Microsoft's blog post about this, they're just like, we're raising it $100 and you go figure out what that price means now. And they did not actually put the MSRP in the blog post that you'd be paying today. So Xbox console price increases for June 2026. Actually, these go into effect August 1st, according to Microsoft. Microsoft said that from August 1st, the price of Xbox consoles will increase by $100 for the 512 gigabyte models and $150 for the 1 terabyte models. So the Xbox Series S 512 gigabyte is going to go from $400 to $500 now. The Xbox Series S is now the cost of what an Xbox Series X was when it launched. The Xbox Series S 1 terabyte went from $449 to $600. The Xbox Series X 1 terabyte digital edition went from $600 to $750, and the Xbox Series X 1 terabyte non-digital went from $650 to $800. And again, the worst May for any Xbox console ever. It's just going to get worse. Like they're going to sell even fewer, and they know that. So the fact that they're doing these price increases screams to me that there's just no choice here. And I know it's easy to point out, like Microsoft makes all kinds of money. They could subsidize this, but Microsoft would just be like, hey, Xbox, you're losing us money, close it down. So this is Xbox trying to avoid that. And well, at a certain point, it's like, that's just going to happen anyhow. They're trying to buy some time here with these price increases, but I don't know, John. Grand Theft Auto 6 is still coming out this year. Does that make these price increases not more palatable, but like survivable? Or is this just like a death march to the end?
For Microsoft, it's not looking particularly good. I
Not
saw
rosy
some
at all.
No, I saw some metric earlier this morning, and I forget where I actually saw this, but it was like on some storefronts, they're reporting that like the pre-orders are like 6-1 in favor of PlayStation, which
Yeah,
is
of
a
course.
huge statistic. So I don't know how many people are gonna take advantage of Microsoft's very generous grace period before the August 1st deadline, because I mean, a lot of people who are going to play GTA 6 probably aren't thinking of buying stuff in advance because it's all going to come, at the time when you're at the cash register. Once you're already like so close to making the
Yeah,
purchase,
so
you're just like,
committed.
I gotta follow through. Yeah, and again, that's also feeding back into like they don't want to put the actual prices of what things are going up to because they don't want to have sticker shock within a press release while they're still
Hmm.
fighting off all the negative press of like significant layoffs and studio closures and trying to figure out which way we're gonna pivot us into the future if we're only focusing on brands so they survive outside of the Xbox name. It's not a great time for Microsoft, industry at large as well. There are going to be sheep who are just going to want to play GTA 6 in whatever the best way possible, but there's also going to be people who want to pay the absolute minimum. And when the absolute minimum is looking like what the more expensive and more powerful console launched 6 years ago, I don't know how that's going to translate well to Xbox. PlayStation is in this weird kind of iffy situation where they are that luxury brand. They are that name brand people are tweeting out there. That's the consoles you see on like NBA stars playing games on their off times, but um people might be worth paying a pretty penny for them. I mean, they already get like are gouging people on PS Plus prices, but um I still believe GTA 6 will break records. It's just it's also going to equal measures break the bank for a lot of its consumers. So they really gotta like follow through on that value because it's certainly not coming on the hardware side and it's all falling on just the negative on, the consumer side. It's super awful. It's super unreasonable to deal with this, but at the same time, like these companies want to just make a profit with where however they can for as long as they can, due to the uncertainty.
Yeah, it is. It's weird because like the Xbox knows these things are happening. They know they could see the numbers dwindling for Xbox sales. They knew that they had their worst May ever. And then we go into June with the Xbox showcase and all of their news announcements. And they're like, okay, and now we're bringing back exclusives, with the idea being encouraging people to get excited about the Xbox console hardware ecosystem. And it's like, okay, so you think you can revive that? Because that's all that can mean, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose it's like, well, okay, let's think about what else that could mean. And the one other thing you can come up with is you sort of do that stuff to make Xbox as exciting externally as possible so that when you spin it off or try to sell it to some private equity, it retains as much value as it possibly can. And then you leave it up to whoever takes it over to then take those games and make them multi-platform again. And then they can make more money that way. Or maybe someone who would acquire it would want to be like in the hardware business for whatever vain reason. It would have to be a vanity project at that point, and that'd be a nightmare because there's like a handful of people who would want to do that, and I don't like most of them.
Yeah.
It is. It's weird. Is that stuff happening? Is that like a maneuvering happening? Probably. But usually the simplest answer is right. And the simplest answer here would be you make these things exclusive so you could sell more hardware. But just how? How is that going to happen? Who do you sell a $500 Xbox Series S to? And I do think Xbox Series S will have a chance of doing all right with Grand Theft Auto 6 because people will begin doing the math, be like, what is the cheapest way I can get into Grand Theft Auto 6? And they'll be all right, for $580, you can get an Xbox Series S and Grand Theft Auto 6. But it's like at that point, if you're paying that much, I still think most people are going to be like, just pay a little bit more and get a digital PS5 or whatever, because you can't get a disc for GTA 6 anyhow, and just make that your answer. And then you have a PS5 that could play all these other games. It's
Not to mention,
it's bizarre.
yeah, it's super bizarre, but also like how big is GTA 6? Like, isn't that just going to be half of the internal storage right there?
Yes.
Like, in that's another thing. It's just like every aspect of playing games, storing games, hardware, controllers, accessories, like everything is so ridiculously expensive that everyone's kind of just getting the worst possible experience. And at a certain point, it's just going to denigrate and deteriorate people's view on these consoles. And there's going to be a certain boiling point where people are just going to retreat to those. Like, I don't want to say Tim Sweeney might be onto something, but like there is something to those digital platforms that are readily accessible on stuff people are more required to own.
Yeah, well, we definitely know that's the case. Like the platforms have shifted from these consoles to the games themselves, and kids, the younger players do not think about what am I going to get for my Xbox. They're like, what experience am I going to have next in Fortnite or Minecraft? Right. And that's very clearly true and has been for years now. And it's going to be more and more true as those gamers age up into having disposable income. And that's yet to happen. Like we are still kind of in the middle of that happening. I suppose with Minecraft, it has happened in a big way, but it'll keep happening with some of these other ones as well. Okay, yes. So price increases for Xbox, that is on top of the price increases for Apple products. And again, these are very rich companies, and they tried to fend off price increases to a certain extent because they did know what it was going to do to their sales numbers. But RAM is expensive. Storage is expensive. I think what did Asha Sharma in this blog post said something like the cost of memory was up 2.5x, and we expect another doubling by the fall of 2027. And so, yeah, that is kind of what everyone's expecting as well. Not a 50% increase, a 100% increase in pricing yet to come. And it's already astronomically expensive. And that's going to affect all these things. And so you kind of just have to look around and go, everything's going to keep getting worse before maybe it gets better. What does this industry look like on the other side of this, John? Because I just don't think we go back to the way things were. There's going to be some weird adaptations, and it's going to look very different. But I have no idea. Do you have any clue?
So I had a dinner party last night, and I shocked everyone when I told everyone, because I'm a sucker. I love new hardware and stuff. I kind of shocked everyone with saying I'm probably not going to get a Steam machine at launch or whenever down the line. And one of my friends said, if you're not getting the Steam machine at launch, how does this have like any marketability?
Yeah, who is? Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard because at a certain point, when they gotta subsidize it to a certain extent, right? Like when you were thinking long-term solution, and I think I also saw earlier this morning that PlayStation is, in at least Japan, lowering the cost of their base PS5 and taking that hit to like support the gaming ecosystem and market. And
right, keeping it low at least, and finding ways to make sure it can only be sold to Japanese customers and stuff like that. Yeah, they're doing the work.
Yeah, I think that could work with a Microsoft and PlayStation. Nintendo is never going to buck that. They have absolutely never done that. They've reduced costs internally on either executive or development, but I don't know. I really don't know where this is going to go, other than we are going to see a major shift in how gaming and entertainment is consumed, right? Like, I don't know of really any pivot that people are going to do. My cousin graduated high school last week, and I was asking like, hey, are you still thinking of getting into the video game industry? He was, working on Unreal Engine for years at summer camps, and he told me that his new passion industry is to get really into ghost hunting. So people are going to find a way to create their own entertainment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
Jan's our resident ghost hunter. He's always doing that during stream. Yeah, I think that you're right, that like we're going to see a lot of people just choose other hobbies while this remains a luxury space. And then the sort of sideshow that has been boutique hardware and handhelds from China and stuff like that will continue to grow. Like those things are more frequently being able to just play Steam games and stuff like that, and you can get them in the range of $250 to $450, and they can play a lot of indie games at the very least, and sometimes more than that. Like if you do have like an AYN Thor. And I think we're going to have to be served by that instead. And if things just like need to level out for a while, and that means the big players in the space who had to keep pushing things harder and harder and getting more and more expensive can't make sense of this business anymore, kind of so be it at a certain point. And I kind of want to just see who's left, the people who really want to be making games. Obviously it'd be better for this industry if everyone, like, big players, small players, companies that just want to make money, but in the process hire a bunch of people, could all be in here simultaneously. But it doesn't feel like that's what the next couple years are going to hold. And then again, what does it look like on the other side? Something different. We'll have to see. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about more headlines. If you want to skip these ads, which we're about to go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. We will be right back. It's Game Mess Mornings. That's John Martin. I'm Jeff Grubb. Let's just update this story. Bungie's layoffs revealed to have affected nearly 300 jobs at Destiny 2 Maker. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. The true scope of PlayStation's Bungie layoffs have been revealed after official records were published by Washington State. On Thursday, Sony Interactive Entertainment confirmed significant cuts at the studio, which it said would affect most of the Destiny team and some Marathon team members. The cuts followed the end of support for Destiny 2 earlier this month. Now, as spotted by GameFile, the scale of the cuts has now been revealed. A WARN notice issued by Sony to Washington State And that's WARM, which I think is like a labor department in Washington. And that's where Bungie is based. It listed the impacted workers at 292 effective next month. So, yeah, that is cutting that team in about half. And yeah, I mean, we knew these were extensive cuts, but it does just scream that they like do not expect them to change their mind on Destiny 3 anytime soon. If they do, it will be seemingly after years of trying to make that make sense because it's so expensive. And if they have some other project, they did say, Bungie, in their press release or whatever, that all of their early stuff is in the incubation phase very early on. And maybe they grow back up over time, but it's like, oh, that studio just got unwieldy due to mismanagement, and now 292 people are paying the price. It's rough stuff, John.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, any of the, I don't want to say any ambition is shrunk, but I feel like what we expect down the line is going to be a smaller scale thing. Which it's unfortunate because Destiny 2 for a lot of people was their like platform game. It was what you were coming and meeting up with people online for. So it's pretty disappointing. I don't know if it's going to go in the direction of either like a Destiny like co-op 4-player campaign game. I mean, that would make me happy. I loved playing Destiny 2, and at this point we're kind of just looking for caveats on a pretty bad situation, but yeah, it's not looking good, and a lot of good people just lost their livelihoods because of mismanagement, and it's a story as old as time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's like at the scale of Bungie is the thing that's just different here. It was so big. It was like one of the bigger West Coast studios, and that is just a region in which a studio like that, when it's not firing on all cylinders, if you don't have a Fortnite that just makes all the money in the world, and we see even with Epic, they laid off 1,000 people while having a Fortnite and Unreal Engine, because that is also a deeply mismanaged company. Like a studio like Bungie doesn't make any sense, and then who pays? Of course, the workers. All right, so next story: Amazon GTA 6 listing mentions unannounced features, including a larger map and NPC routines. This is from Dave Aubrey at VGC. Grand Theft Auto 6, better known as GTA 6, has potentially had unannounced features detailed by a listing on Amazon Brazil. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if we think this is true, John. Assuming it's authentic, the Amazon listing describes some details we already knew or could assume: 2 playable protagonists, a larger map, but there are new pieces of information Rockstar hasn't shared yet. The listing mentions further expected features like next-generation graphics and dynamic weather, but also appears to confirm an integrated social network that allows GTA 6 players to watch viral videos, follow influencers, and discover world events through your in-game mobile phone, which I think we also could have predicted based on some early trailers, John. It looks like that's what they were going for. Once again, kind of like this feeds into my most recent suspicion about this game, where it's just going to feel a little dated. Where it's like, God, we've had fake social media accounts as like a point system in a game 50 times by this point. What's that recent friend slop game, Crash Out Crew Jam that we played? That had a fake social media thing in there, and that was just done as a joke. Of course, they could do it better than anyone's ever done it before, but it just feels like, is that what you're lampooning? That feels a little out of date. But then they go on here to say GTA 6's NPCs will also have their own routines and random events, according to the alleged listing. Hey, that to me sounds like maybe the most promising thing, where I want a Hitman level blown up to the size of a city. If Grand Theft Auto 6 is a game that Rockstar has spent the last 15 years making and $2 billion to produce, then this needs to be the game that can do that. Like, I'm happy with Hitman being like one city block or one hotel building that has people on their routines that do surprising things that you can mess with, and you throw yourself into the cogs and then you break the machine and kind of see what happens. I think if Grand Theft Auto 6 can do that, I will be impressed. I had sort of similar ambitions for Red Dead Redemption 2, and that certainly for me did not live up to that side of the sandbox. I mean, I know why people love that game. It has nothing to do with what I was hoping for from that game, so different conversations. But I will once again get my hopes up for Grand Theft Auto 6 delivering on what an open world can be. And this sounds like maybe it's somewhere along those lines. First of all, this sounds plausible, right, John? This sounds like stuff they would probably want to be going for this game. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Even just like kind of like shrinking it down to like NPC archetype, right? Like, and they mentioned like having so many different areas, so you can have like certain people who are gonna go to certain places. They have their jobs. That's really fun to me. As a kid, I remember, and even playing Hitman, but like as a kid playing Majora's Mask and finding out that all the characters like had their own routines you had to learn and like follow, and that was always super fascinating to me. And I do just love seeing what NPCs do, some wild
Yep.
things. So kind of mixing that with the social network mechanic is kind of fascinating, and to see how it's gonna do. But yeah, I really do think that the time in between Red Dead 2 and GTA 6, something like this could happen, and I think it's going to be really, really cool. There's also a more cynical part of my brain that is more so like in the way that like Tomodachi Life is kind of popping off. I'm a little afraid of like GTA 6 turning in not into just a game, but like an internal like TikTok brain rot
Yeah,
generator. You can just like
it
doom
will
scroll
absolutely.
within.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Uh, Um,
Oh,
so yeah,
you're
that
suggesting maybe like people can make their own videos and share them on a platform that goes to other players. I will be interested to see if something like that is possible. It feels like something that they at least would have considered.
Yeah, I mean a game that's like has been. I mean, again, like the other side of GTA is like online, right? So it's all about player engagement, making new events and stuff. So this is kind of just a natural evolution. Like 2018 was a completely different ballpark in terms of what social media was. So now it's
Yeah.
like how they can they take advantage of that, and what better place for like some of the craziest stuff you've ever seen than Florida. Like that is already a mythical, faraway, ridiculous land. So I'm very interested to see how that's gonna go. But man, like I don't know.
There was some mention, like as part of these listings on stores of the PS5 Pro having a more stable frame rate. Still no references to like higher frame rates or anything, excuse me, or anything
Sure.
like that, but more stable frame rates. And it's like, yeah, that seems to be like maybe the best we can hope for from this game is it's going to be 30 frames per second with some dips on regular consoles, and the PS5 Pro maybe can get a mostly locked 30 frames per second while still having all of the bells and whistles turned on. Yeah, we'll see. I don't expect this game to have a performance mode like that. That does not
No,
seem like it's in the cards, even on PS5 Pro.
no, it sounds like a
Okay.
next gen thing.
Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. That will be a feature that they can resell these games on, or like the people that are waiting out the current situation because things are so expensive. When they are like, oh, well, you know what? I'm super excited about PS6 now. I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna get Grand Theft Auto 6 with that because now it has all these better features. I think you're right. That's how it will go. All right, let's see here. Retiring Mario and Zelda director Takashi Tezuka clarifies he'll still be involved at Nintendo, which, I guess I like, why didn't I assume that would be the case? But here it is. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Veteran Nintendo designer Takashi Tezuka says he'll still be involved with the company in some capacity, even though he'll no longer be part of its executive board. It was announced last month that by Nintendo that Tezuka would retire from his role as an executive officer today, June 26th, during a Q&A session at Nintendo 26 shareholders meeting. However, Tezuka reportedly said he would still be involved as a production producer. In Japan, a production producer is a term often used in anime to describe a job similar to a line producer, where someone works between the creative and financial staff to oversee the day-to-day creation of content. Sounds like he's moving into that role that like Miyamoto did have for a long time of like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna like drop in and make sure that things are still working and up to the sort of my level, while not being the actual director or executive producer on these games, which is often the director for a Japanese game. That sounds great to me because Miyamoto has kind of even risen beyond that. And he's like, now I'm making theme parks and movies, and I'm not even doing that job anymore. And Tezuka was right there alongside Miyamoto from the beginning. Super Mario Brothers team he made Link's Awakening. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is to me very good news as someone who is a huge Tezuka fan. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, like we finally hit the second creative fellow at Nintendo,
Yes.
and that's
Uh-huh.
pretty good to see. I mean, this is kind of the thing that we talk about. What makes Nintendo so special isn't that like the consistency of the games that they put out. Those are fantastic, but it really is because of that workplace environment where there is that knowledge transfer. Like there are people who have been around since literally Mario 1. It's great because even in retirement, I feel like he is the kind of person who wants to keep innovating, but also surprising and delighting people. They get to be like this kind of like whimsical, like toy makers. And I don't know if I was in that position and I felt I could do that for the rest of my life and not have to like, work as hard before, but still direct in a very Nintendo way. That sounds like kind of the perfect retirement situation as opposed to like going to a university and being like a teacher or whatever. So just
Right.
great overall. New generation of Nintendo employees will have, you know, the magic at heart. So it's good
Yeah.
stuff.
It does show like, yeah, Nintendo is still that company. And so if you're joining now and you're going to be someone who's wants to rise up the ranks, this is, this could be your forever home, that sort of thing. And, that's obviously very typical for a Japanese corporation. But I think Nintendo tries to make it feel like even more special. You're working at Nintendo, and that is, like you said, part of the magic is attracting the kinds of people who want that place to go work. They grew up loving Nintendo games. Now bring that love to making Nintendo games. And that is one of the benefits of these big companies kind of continuing to attract new talent is they can sort of foster that and show its eventual end goal here, which is, yeah, you won all the awards, you've done all the great things, and now we're not going to just kick you to the curb. You're still going to be here. And of course, that's reserved for the top of tier like Tezuka and Miyamoto, but still, they're trying to sort of put out that spotlight and say, yeah, this is what it could be for you. All right, last couple of stories here. Bandai Namco announces Tekken cartoon with first teaser trailer and staff reveal. I just included an image here, Jan, to like kind of show people like what this looks like. Looks very much like a Cartoon Network show, which I love.
Yeah.
These characters, the Tekken characters done in this style, is very, very funny. Orpheus Joshua over at Noisy Pixel just writes real quick. Bandai Namco has announced the official Tekken cartoon. Details are currently sparse with only a brief teaser trailer, but the vast staff on this project has been confirmed. They listed a bunch of people who are working on it. It is a lengthy list, so it's like, oh, this is really in the works right now because they've hired up or they have a studio ready and working on this thing. Yeah, video games continue to be a sort of a rich vein for the entertainment mediums elsewhere to tap into. And we've seen a lot of movies, but of course, TV shows and especially like streamers are always looking for this kind of stuff. And I think this is a very smart take on Tekken. Just lean into the silliness, make it like 12-minute long episodes where, at the end of every episode, someone gets thrown in a volcano. And I think you have something there.
Yeah, it's interesting because like of all the fighting games, this is like one of the weirdest like kids pipeline to a fighting game possible.
Yes.
But it's also the franchise that like routinely goes from a patricidal family starting World War III mixed with a kung fu bear's unrequited love of a panda bear and like a boxing kangaroo. I don't want to say getting cucked, but like a raptor takes his wife. It's just all kinds of weird stuff. But yeah, it has like this cool like Cal Arts art style. Like it reminds me of like a Steven Universe or an OKKO or something. So it is kind of funny that this is kind of what's happening with Tekken. I don't know how the Tekken community will take this because that's in a whole bunch of turmoil right now. But I just thought this was a very cute, fun thing that they're doing. And Tekken has always been one of those easier to play fighting games because you don't have to learn a whole bunch of motions. It's kind of just like you got two punches, two kicks, and you kind of are good to go. It's a very easy to understand fighting game, all things considered.
Yep. And it does have vast appeal. Like I just thought Tekken's always been very appealing, I think, to people who just kind of check it out real quick. And this again taps into that. I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna see if the kids want to watch it. And then God, I don't think they've ever played a fighting game. Maybe I could play Tekken with the kids. That would be funny. Star Fox plushies are coming to North America. Nintendo of America has announced that the Star Fox plushies, which were first announced for Japan and Europe, will be making their way to North America. You won't be able to get a hold of them just yet, as they aren't scheduled to arrive until the 30th of October. but you can now pre-order them, pre-purchase them. You can pre-purchase specifically Fox, Slippy, Peppy, and Falco on the Nintendo Store. So that's the Nintendo Store website. Although I bet by the end of the year, these will show up at actual physical Nintendo stores, of which there's like 2 locations, maybe 3 locations in the United States. I think SF and New York, so maybe just the
New
2.
York, yeah.
But yeah, that's these things are very cute, which is why I'm including them here. I almost did pre-purchase them, but I'm like, man, I don't need to spend more money. I need to save money right now. But man, again, that's the thing. I was like, if I'm going to get one, I'm going to get them all, so it would add up quick. I think it's $20 each. Maybe I should just get Slippy though and move on.
That's the one that's going to sell out immediately too. Like they'll never have another Slippy in stock.
Everyone's crazy for Slippy. That's just true. And then Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen preview. Capcom detailed the October 9th expansion that is coming soon. The new Northern Region Norgan contains 12 challenge dungeons and a relic expedition cycle in which players recover and appraise relics to unlock weapons and abilities before confronting the fallen dragon and Ear. Let's see here. The expansion cost $30, while the complete package is $50 and is also coming to Switch 2. More importantly, an August-based update for the game will include increased equipped weapon skills from 4 to 6. So you're going to have 6 skill slots, additional save slots, adjust Dragon's Plague. It will adjust the Dragon's Plague, improve performance, and more character customization options. Of all the stuff announced, John, the 6 skill slots versus 4 and having more save slots are the things people in the community seem most excited about. It's like, oh yeah, this game is going to be significantly different now because of that. Like the Weight Warfarer is everyone's talking about. Oh, if you have 6 skill slots for that class, that game is going to feel very different. You're going to have a lot more options. Okay, it's time to go back. I enjoyed my time with Dragon's Dogma 2, and then fell off. Unfortunately, I was enjoying it enough. I'm like, I wish I could have just kept playing it. I'm going to use this as an excuse to go back and kind of get what sounds like to me, and probably it seems like the way they're positioning it is the definitive version of this game. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I never got a chance to jump in at the time. So this is absolutely how I'm going to do that. And especially like additional save slots. Like if I like the game, I would probably want to play as all the different classes. And this seems like it's just making the user experience much, much better. Very much like that original game's Dark Arisen expansion. So yeah, Capcom still killing it. Like alongside Nintendo, I feel like they are kind of the place to be right now in terms of like Japanese game developers right now. They're absolutely crushing it and kind of just listening to the fans in all the best possible ways.
And then last story here, Nintendo has raised its employees' base salary by 10%. Yeah. This is from My Nintendo News. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa has stated to shareholders that Kyoto-based company has now raised its base salary for employees by 10% in a move to retain talent. Here's what Mr. Furukawa told investors today via machine translation. We maintain salaries at an appropriate level. We believe it is important to ensure that compensation remains at an appropriate standard. For example, we have increased pay, including raising base salaries by 10%. We keep hearing wages are not keeping up with inflation in the United States, but inflation's still happening in a lot of places mostly because of fuel recently, but a bunch of reasons. This is a smart move by Nintendo, which they've said their strategic goal is to make more games. That they think that is the key to their success, and you can't do that if you're not maintaining the strong talent that they already have, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they've kind of dominated a lot of the conversation this year with like Tomodachi Life, Pacopia, Ocarina of Time, and that's not even out yet. So makes sense. I wonder if they had like an issue with talent getting like poached or something. I know there's like
part of it's got to be the weak yen, right? The yen is very weak right now, and so just that naturally leads to higher cost of living, stagnant purchasing power, just stuff like that, where it's like we're paying all these employees, especially they're saying like the base level here. So these people coming in and they already feel like they're behind the people that when they look around, it's like, God, I don't have the same purchasing power as the generation right before me. And that, yeah, Nintendo probably is trying to avoid that and being like, no, we'll keep up. Don't feel like you're not going to be able to keep up with the rising costs of living. but yeah, but part of it is also like, let's keep this talent like that. That has been the story over and over again recently. You know, you read a Jason Schreier sort of dossier on what happened to this game or what happened to that game, and being like, you know, for the former, it's what went wrong, and for the latter, it's what went right. And for both, in both situations, it's like making games is very hard. And in the situation where something went right, it was a bunch of developers had been working together, mostly with the same crew, and having a strong culture where when they do bring new people in, it's easy to integrate them because they have strong tools and processes. And that only happens if you keep a lot of people together for a very long time and they ship multiple projects together, which is that seems like the vibe around Hamaguchi's team with Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? This third one, it seems like, hey, we've really figured this shit out, and now we're kind of pumping this one out much quicker than we did the previous two, and that all comes down to keeping that team together. So Nintendo knows that. They're savvy to that sort of thing, I think. All right, that does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll question from yesterday. I have the results right over here. Going to refresh to make sure we have the most up-to-date information. From 24 hours ago, are you planning to buy a console like a PS5, Xbox, Steam machine, etc. by the end of 2026? 11% said yes, 89% said no. You would think probably in most years, just naturally, that number would be a little bit higher than that. But the prices, I'm sure, have deflated that. But still, 1 in 10 people in this audience looking to buy new hardware. The trouble there is like the Steam machine is in there. That's new and shiny, and that's not really moving that number all that much because, again, the prices. So, yeah, I don't know. You buying any hardware, any big hardware things like that, John?
I don't know. I was thinking of maybe building my own Steam machine and buying like another, like my computer has a 9070 XT, so it could become like a Steam box, a Steam machine. I was thinking of doing that for a living room solution, but kind of at this point, I'm using my old gaming laptop I got at my previous job to kind of serve as that living room PC. So yeah, I don't really see myself buying a new thing, sans like a switch to like Ocarina of Time edition thing. Like I'm just that big of a sucker that would entice me, but yeah, surprisingly not. I'm kind of set with what I have, so you know.
I think that's what we're gonna be doing right now. Is everyone's gonna be looking at each other, and be like, "Hey, we're all set, right? Let's not like try to put FOMO on our friends and stuff like that. Let's just all play the games we have," which I think is going to be a little bit something we talk a little bit more here at Giant Bomb pretty soon. It's like, let's all relax a little bit on pushing the newest stuff and talk about getting the most joy out of things we might already have in our library. So if anyone has any suggestions for the things along those lines, let me know. I'd be very curious about what ways we could approach that. All right, that's out of the way. No new poll question because it's Friday, and instead we're going to do the Bomb 12. We'll get to that here in a second. Before we do that, though, John Martin, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky at John Martin 0625. I am becoming more and more active now that the summer months are kind of here. So yeah, kind of in like half an hour after this, I'm going to be doing like a birthday stream. I'm going to be playing through Star Fox. I'm going to be playing some Sonic Cross Worlds. Going to be playing through more FF7 Rebirth. So that's going to be fun. Other than that, just kind of hanging out in chat. I'll probably wrap up a bit before UPF so I can see you guys in the world of Final Fantasy. That's going to be pretty fun.
Excellent. So yeah, happy birthday. How old are you?
29. So
yeah, almost 30, almost an old man. Not quite yet. Enjoy it while you can. But no, happy birthday. Let's get a happy birthdays in chat for John, everybody.
I appreciate it.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, let's see. With that out of the way, it's Giant Bomb still. That is still what this website is. And later today, we're going to be doing a couple things. After this, I believe it's Poke Monday Night Combat. I believe Sean and Jan will be doing some Fishing Week themed builds of a team comp. Jan's been working hard to make that make sense. I've listened to him and Sean have a conversation about like what Pokemon count as fish or ocean creatures, and I'm excited to see what they come up with. After that, kind of leading into UPF, I got it working. All right, I It's not just the hardware working now. I reinstalled the game, and Monster of the Deep Final Fantasy 15 for PlayStation VR on the PS4 is actually booting up now. I will play that, and then we'll go into UPF, where we're going to get the crew together to play Web Fishing, which is just like an online multiplayer chill hangout version of just the Animal Crossing fishing game, which, hell yeah, that's a good time. So tune in for all of that. It's a busy day to wrap up Fishing Week. Once again, store.giantbomb.com. You're crazy if you don't get that new merch. It looks so good. It's right. It's just they did a great job. Mike does a great job working with the artists on that stuff. Just really impressed by that. So store.giantbomb.com, everybody. Okay. All right. So go get a bucket hat there. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Hell yeah. Bucket hats. Thank you once again, everybody, for watching. Let's wrap up the week with the Bomb 12. That's right. These are the 12 games that really matter to people who are really playing video games, with number 12 being Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. All right. Listen, people.
The Kong Challenge? Maybe? Is that the thing?
Honestly, sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's people just having fun. But yeah, maybe. Number 11, though, Fox Quest 2, which is a real game. That is a real game. And maybe this is maybe there was some sort of push here to get Fox Quest 2 way up high on the Bomb 12, but it could only make number 11.
Collusion.
It could. There's always the possibility that collusion is happening. But it's on Steam. You can go play this now. Number 10 is Xenoblade
soundtrack for $3. Oh my god.
All right, let's move now. That's Fox Quest 2 spelled exactly like it sounds. Number 10 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Number 9 is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Number 8 is Seaman. Number 7 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Again, that just launched on Switch 2. Number 6 is 007 First Light. Number 5, Forza Horizon 6. Number 4 is Destiny 2. Number 3 is Mina the Hollower. That means number 2 is Marathon, and number 1 is Star Fox. Interesting to see Marathon go back above Destiny 2. Destiny 2 was above it the last couple of weeks as Destiny 2 got its final update, and people were saying goodbye to it. But now, man, people love Marathon. It just hopefully they can figure out the future for that game and let it keep growing and finding new players. But yeah, Star Fox, cool. I'm glad people are playing that game.
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying it. It's one of those ones where, hey, do you want to know if you enjoy playing this game and you have a Switch and NSO? Just go play it on the N64. It plays exactly the same. It's that game. Yeah. But boy, it looks really nice, and I like that quite a bit. I think it's cool to see these visual improvements for this game. All right, with that out of the way, you can always submit your game for future Bomb 12s by going to giantbomb.com. If you scroll down, you're going to see a kind of a bar here where we have all of the Bomb 12 games laid out from the last week. And then over on the left-hand side, there's a Vote Here button. That'll take you to the Google form where I do all the collating and gathering up of the information. And we come up with the Bomb 12 chart using that data. So go ahead and submit what you're playing. And we'll do another Bomb 12 to end next week on a Thursday, because we'll be off for July 3rd for the holiday. So, yeah, get your votes in early and often, especially if you're voting for Fox Quest 2, apparently. All right. With that all out of the way, John, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.